recent review of the Mr. Fantastic by Abnormal. I was able to eliminate the previous Mr. Fantastic that was in my collection, and hopefully today we'll be able to do that with the Human Torch, I guess. Pretty unlikely since the one I got from Poison Figs and Atlas was pretty good, but we are going to be able to check out a new Herbie, which I don't have in the collection, so I'm excited for that. The Human Torch will use, some molded parts to enhance it, just like the Atlas Poison one that I've already looked at. Both figures and all of the ones in this collection come in the same sort of standard plastic container with the character inside of a plastic bag. So we got the one for Herbie and the one for Human Torch. None of these characters had like the collector cards that a lot of companies will do, so, that's something you look forward to. It might be a bit of a bummer. Looks like it comes with some custom molded flame pieces that are very similar to the Power Effect ones that LEGO does. We'll compare those. And of course, like I said, we got the main Human Torch minifigure, so let's check out these figures. Before getting on the stand, it is kind of funny, the Herbie that is included here is basically a complete design rip from the Mezco 112 Collective Fantastic Four set. So that's kind of interesting. It's missing some color on the custom one, so it is smaller, so it doesn't have the mouth, doesn't have like the blue on the top of it, but every aspect of the design is the exact same, and you can't say that this is not just like a stolen concept from the version here. Some stupid things about this: there's an anti-stud on the bottom, and it doesn't fit a stud. So there's no way to like attach a stand to this at all, and that is a huge missed opportunity and really stupid. I don't know how custom companies keep doing that. I had that with my Green Goblin glider I reviewed a while ago from Earthly Brick, I think. Just a very short-sighted design choice there. And also, I just want to point out the flames do not come out. Found that out just playing around with it. I just wanted to see if it was like a normal bar hole. It's not. There's enough friction that it'll still hold in, but I'll probably end up super gluing that after this. But just wanted to, take one for the team and figure that out to review this. I found a different solution, and that's just to put a bar piece into the hand. So there you go. You can get it on a stand a little bit. Like I kind of pointed out, it is the same design as the Mezco figures. So there's some carvings in the mold for implied storage spaces for whatever. Same goes for the side, where there are, again, more just different dividers for different components of what would be on Herbie. I think another missed opportunity is that the head doesn't move at all, so it's just a static piece other than the arms, which do rotate on the, side axis, and it doesn't seem like there's anything that would prevent it from doing a full 360, so that's kind of a nice little feature there. There's that black printed all the way to the bottom of the rockets, and since I took the flame off, it is printed on the bottom where the flames connect, and then the glue is put onto the paint. So that's kind of nice. A little bit of yellow for the eyes, which definitely adds some nice contrast and looks good. It's kind of a bummer to have no mouth here, which I guess I hadn't really noticed it on the action figure until I was looking at it closer today, but it is missing here, which makes it a little bit more noticeable. And as I kind of mentioned, the no blue on the top of the head. While we're at it, the arms, I guess they do bump into the head, so you're not going to have full range, but you are able to get it down to there too. So I lied. It does bump into the body in multiple places with the arms, but don't know how much motion you would need. Ooh, as I'm bending it, it's already like kind of popping out of the socket, so not great. Like I said, I've knocked the flame out, so that's on me, and it's not like wide enough for a bar piece. Another place where it would have been nice to attach a stand. So I like the design here, but it's not super functional and not at the full quality I would have liked for something like this. But the sculpt looks nice, and the printing that's on there is good too. And I just noticed too, I guess you can kind of bend it down around the rockets, and the arms do go straight down on the sides if you wanted to have an awkward looking character like that. But there's still a little bit of like fun playability to this, and having the flames, you can just put it on like the ground of the build, and it does still levitate technically, but again, wanted more from this. And I'm sure Super Fantastic Four fans know why I paired up Johnny with Herbie, since Herbie was used as a replacement for Johnny just because of some ownership of the original Human Torch character from the 30s or 40s. This version here is going to be orange with no transparent parts other than the accessories, so it's a bit of a different look. And I'm sure, again, you go back to different comics, you can find versions of the character that are going to be a lot more like this, and going to be easier to source than the transparent parts, which is why it is at a lower price. I do really like the accessories where there is a very nice gradient where it goes from like a lighter orange yellowish to a darker orange red. That'll be on every single part here except maybe the sort of shoulder mounted part there. This is probably going to be the most simple print-wise for all the characters since it is just the lighter orange printed, and I believe the white, no other colors, from what I can see at least, and then they make up for that with the accessories. So that would vary from the suited looks where they do have like dark blue printed on top of white and black, so 3 colors versus 2 colors, in addition to the faces, which have some flesh printing. The orange for the plastic is used for all the different abstract space and muscle lines, so it's a very unique look. And they didn't cut corners, which I'm also kind of surprised about since the inside of the legs will still have the boot print all the way around, and same goes for the arms where they have a cuff design sort of printed around the arms. So you can see that right there, just a quick little orange line on both arms. Not the biggest fan of the hand flame pieces the way I'm seeing them right now, and that's just because they stick out way too far from the arms, and there's no way to fix that. It's not like I have on the other arms, so if you switch them, they don't fit. So that's a little bit interesting, and you can tell which one is the right side since there's like that little bit of extra flame that kind of looks like a thumb, which should be on the top. Again, you know, I don't hate like the hair piece here. I was excited about since it isn't the same mold that was used on like the Lego Ghost Rider and has been used pretty much for every character the customs have made with that sort of fire on the head look. So it's nice to have something different. And I was interested in the shoulder flame piece too, since this was announced before the Atlas one that I do have, and I was just expecting to use these parts to upgrade the Mr. J one I already had. Getting to these accessories, you are able to get that full range basically until you get to the back flame there, and just, I did accidentally knock the flame piece out of the hand there, but it does actually fit pretty well. And just getting it back in, it's kind of awkward since, like I said, you know, it pops out so much, so it's just not flush with the arms. So that's how far you can get it back with the flame neck piece on, which you could take off if you wanted to, and going forwards does go pretty far, but again, basically touching the head there, which looks a little awkward, and it would be better if it could fold out more, and I believe range-wise it should pretty much be the same on both sides since they do feel pretty mirrored. I guess there's a little bit of offset flames, so I do think there's a little less range on this side since there's that little bit more of flame that kicks out there. But like I said, plastic color looks really good here. Let's pop those off. It is plain though. That's going to be the case for all these figures. A little more plain though since there's no boot print or anything. One-sided head. I feel like the extra lines on the head here look a little awkward. There's like a little bit of extra dark orange there that isn't on the other side, and there's like a little island of yellow on the edge of the head there and there. Not my favorite look, I don't think. But like I said, it is unique. It's a unique take on the character. I'm going to pop off the other flame piece too, and it definitely looks better with all of the extra fire on it. Since you look at like this, it doesn't really feel like a Human Torch figure since there's no flame printing on the torso at all, or the arms, or the legs. So I don't know. It's a little strange. Where I guess they were definitely trying to make a cheaper line of figures here, so I could understand why they wanted to go the orange route. I feel like maybe even red would be better to give it more of a classic feel, since that could have been really cool with like the lines and everything that would be like, I guess, black lines, you know, from the original drawings. I would have appreciated something different in that regard. With this sort of orange look, it would be kind of perfect for Firelord, which also has an orange look and would be pretty much perfect if you could figure out a way to mount the flame. So I do like the idea of maybe looking into that. But with that being said, let's toss on the accessories for this minifigure on the Mr. J one like I originally intended. And the neck isn't compatible with the standard hairpiece here. It does bump right there, so the head won't be able to go down all the way. Hand accessories too, like I'm not super high on them, honestly, since the like flick fire hand effects also work pretty well and fit pretty close with the hand. And also the versions that Lego does where it goes over the hand, I just also think work pretty well and fit with the arms a lot better. I guess I can throw on the other hair piece too while we're at it. On this one, a little tight since it's clear plastic and clear plastic. And again, I think this mold works a little bit better for the effect for the Human Torch. It's a little bit more like vertical, like flowing hair going straight up. And it's kind of a nice upgrade. Let's go to the Atlas one with these parts too to show that off. And this is going to be a cool upgrade if you wanted to add the parts here. The hand sort of power effects fit perfectly over the armband ones that are already on this figure. And again, I just think this hair fire mold on the head just looks a little bit better and is a little more natural, a little less bulky. So I do appreciate and like how that looks here. But let me know, what do you think of these combos? And showing all this off now, let's go to some comparisons and the final verdict. A lot of my thoughts from the Reed Mr. Fantastic figure I just reviewed are going to kind of carry over here, where these are good upgrades to what I already had, other than, you know, I guess Human Torch, I wouldn't say that, but for Herbie, only Herbie in my collection, so that's good to get. I'm excited to take a look at the last two figures from this team to have like a whole cohesive group of figures by the same designer finally. I got, you know, I always forget to mention it why I put Crystal in here, since she was in a relationship with Johnny at some point. If I had to like start bench the Human Torches I have now, I guess at this point, you know, I definitely start the Atlas one, bench the Mr. J one. I definitely cut the one here by Abnormal. It just has like, doesn't have weaknesses, but it doesn't have the strengths that the other ones have over here. I guess I'm kind of noticing now it's kind of awkward that it's like a yellowish head and torso and then orange legs, so that transition's a little weird. I just really like the transparent ones, and the little bit of extra money to get these definitely makes them a little more worth it. But I don't hate these. I kind of pointed out, like I said, you could do like a Fire Lord maybe with these parts, or I guess the head and the hair, probably the fire effects too if you wanted to. That'd be probably not the hardest thing to figure out. So there is still utility to the things included here. Herbie could definitely be better. I wish it was more compatible with the Lego system to make it fly in some way. At least it does have the rockets on the feet to give it a little bit of flight, and I don't know, I guess I'm just a little bummed I broke it, but that was, again, that was on me. I was kind of expecting the flames to be able to be taken out and put back in though. All three figures here though, they do look pretty good all together when you got them all next to each other here. I feel like Herbie scaling wise is pretty good. You know, I think he kind of fluctuates in size, so this is a bigger version of him, and I'm excited to kind of compare it to the Atlas one to see how those scale. And there's still some compatibility with some other designers' figures here where they do kind of fit pretty well next to each other still. You have like a Ling Crystal version here, or even the official Doctor Doom. I think these still will kind of fit in the same universe. This is probably what Lego would end up doing if they did a Human Torch, since they wouldn't go all the transparent route. Maybe the arms and the legs could be transparent though, and make it a little bit more put together and cohesive, but it would be hard to say since they just gave us the unflamed suit from the movie so far, and we haven't had comics sets or suits put out. So I'd be interested to see how they would tackle that on their side of things, but there's still a good amount of detail on here with the different lines for the legs and the arms that were kind of continued from the other non, powered up ones. Like I said, though, I didn't get the unflamed on version, didn't feel like I really needed it, since I'll just end up using the Atlas suits probably. And like I said, not my favorite version, not going to be the main version of my collection, but let me know, do you have a preference on these three? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see more custom LEGO Fantastic Four or custom LEGO Marvel videos overall, check out all the content on my channel. If you want to help out even further, feel free to join as a member for some extra perks. Like always, I have been Brooke Radiop, and I will see you in the next video.